Bobby Trossett, joined alongside my pal Cole Jackson of Road Graders. Lots to get into tonight. A flurry of moves, Cole, as well. And obviously, the elephant in the room is that a lot has changed since we finished up our nearly 3 hours of coverage on a Tuesday night. We're at 7:58. 7:58, the graphic comes down the pike. It's from the Raiders via Rappaport that sent this entire thing into a frenzy, if you didn't feel like it was a frenzy already at that time. So, the Crosby trade is off. Hendrickson is on and becoming a Baltimore Raven. And then there's several moves that were made today as well. And Eric DeCosta, oh, by the way, and we've got snippets of it, addressed local media in the form of a press conference. And that's probably why, one of the many reasons why Jeff is going to be a few minutes late, because in his words, he's on his way back from a tornado that apparently hit somewhere in the Maryland area. So safe travels.
He's at the corner store right now getting a Mountain Dew. We know it. He's going to probably have a Red Bull, mix it up. It's going to be a whole thing.
The best snippet, by the way, from all of our short form content that we do is what you did earlier, when it was really a sign, maybe a sign of life or a sign of lifelessness at the 2.5 hour mark yesterday, of what really truly told us it's time to pack it in. And that was us just straight up tripping over each other when it came to an Adam Schefter tweet. But
I can't believe I literally read it word for word after you did. Like, when I rewatched it, I had to die laughing. Like, that's bad, man.
For those who caught it live, if you know, you know. So with that, welcome inside the collective tonight. Continue to see great growth, and it's all thanks to you guys and your participation. Already 700 plus concurrents and counting on what should be a busy, productive evening. If you could like the video on your way in, subscribe if you haven't already done so. We have hit that 7,000 number. So, hey, perhaps 10,000 in the cards here in the coming months this offseason. And hit that notification bell. We also have brand new channel memberships that we unlocked pretty recently. We'll get to some super chats here in just a bit as well, because Jerry DeMonico has already dropped the first 50 spot of the night. But Cole, let's begin with the newest Raven, and that is Trey Hendrickson. A lot of familiarity, of course, with him. And as we learned earlier this morning, this happened quickly. It was a pivot, and he remains in the AFC North. He was the top pass rusher on the market. The numbers that Schefter had are as follows: 4 years, up to $120 million. That includes $60 million fully guaranteed and a $20 million signing bonus. And then there's some incentives in here as well for 8, 10, 12, and 14 sacks per season. He also gets an additional $500K for each threshold he meets. Played in just 7 games last year. Had a core setback in October. They put him on season-ending injured reserve. But gosh, it was just a year ago that he was the reigning sack getter and bargaining and busting his butt working with Cincinnati, and he didn't feel valued there, clearly. And now he becomes a Raven, and their next edge rusher, they get their 2 first-round picks back. And I know you've done a big study and gotten familiar with his game over the years. He is a true premier power rusher. Maybe that makes up for some of the run limitations.
Absolutely, and that's a really good departure point to kind of take a look at it, because obviously Max Crosby is a more complete player. There's no doubt about that. He's a 4-down guy, and Trey Hendrickson has had some struggles in the run game. But what Trey Hendrickson does so well is win pass rush snaps. If you look at the last 3 years, he had a 21.5% pass rush win rate in 2025. That was good for 5th in the league. 2024, 20%, tied for 4th. 2023, 20.8%, and that was 6th. So, and I mean, the guys that were typically in front of him included just Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa one of those years, and forgetting someone else. But when you take a look at some of the more interesting names as well, Will Anderson was one of the ones in front of him this year that just passed. Micah Parsons has been in front of him as well in the past. But, to compare to Max Crosby, his win percentage last year was 14.4%. And again, that's adjusting for how many snaps they play. So a more efficient, I guess, way of looking at it, a more efficient pass rusher, albeit a less complete player. So it's a really interesting piece to add to this defense, because, there's no doubt about it. The Ravens had a huge pass rush struggle last year. They need a guy to come in specifically on money downs and be able to get after the quarterback. And I think what you do is at your rush linebacker spot, you pair this with Tavius Robinson and you get the run stopper, and then you get the pass rusher, and then you figure out what you're doing on the other side with Mike Green and the Sam backer, the Sam rush spot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they continue to fill out this defensive line. But no doubt about it, we talked about it pretty in depth last night. Like, there was no better pivot to go to there. And I mean, it was interesting, right? The news came out. I don't know if we are going to get into that, but the news came out that Trey was approached with the possibility of playing with Max Crosby. So, I mean, with all the conspiracy theories that have happened over the last 24 hours, obviously the Ravens had their eyes set on bringing Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson together. So it makes you wonder, is Jonathan Grenard, is he still, in the cards for them? Will they look to make an additional trade for another defensive lineman? Really, to me, it's all about having multiple options on the D-line that can get after the quarterback and be successful in those pass rush snaps. If you look at the Ravens D-line last year, amongst the league's worst in straight up pass rush win rate, they did not win reps. And now they're going to focus on bringing in guys that are able to do that. So I think it's very exciting. And, as the last 24 hours, can you remember a crazier 24 hours for Ravens fans? Because I sure can't. So, I mean, we pivoted as well as we could. There's some egg on the face, and that is what it is. And we'll have to live with that for a little bit. But things landed quite well.
Yeah, I mean, just in January, obviously the decision to move on from Harbaugh and the way that went, but this was a different level of magnitude. As much as that was surprising, knowing that Steve Bisciotti could have easily ran it back for a 19th straight year, I think there was an expectation that something needed to change and things had run its course. This was just jarring, stunning, shocking, and it took the entire league by storm. Not that Harbaugh's dismissal didn't, but being that it's Crosby, being that it is the Ravens, and then immediately shifting within a 12-hour window, essentially, to Trey Hendrickson makes it that much more unprecedented in a sense. Diana Rossini noting that as part of the proposed trade for Max Crosby, the Ravens were also prepared to sign him to a revised contract that would have made him near the top of the pass rusher market. Had that deal gone through, it would have made also signing Trey Hendrickson very difficult. She goes on to quote tweet herself and say, instead, Baltimore lands Hendrickson on a deal roughly $8 to $10 million cheaper per year, and the Ravens retain their first-round draft picks. Now, obviously, there's an age difference here too, Cole. As you know, one's 28. Hendrickson is 31. I believe he turns 32 in December, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll play the majority of this upcoming season. Language says it all there, Cole.